So fired up. The AFC Championship game is set, and the NFL must be thrilled as well with this matchup. It's Brady versus Manning, 17 at Mile High Sunday, so they'll face for the 5th time in the playoffs, most between quarterbacks in NFL history, another most. Manning and Brady, at 39 and 38 years of age respectively, are the highest combined age among opposing quarterbacks in postseason history. But it never gets old for us, at least me, Darren Woodson. I'm very excited to hear what you have to say here. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Thanks.
And
for
by the way,
me.
he shut both these quarterbacks down in his day a couple times.
I didn't beat either one of them. Crazy.
What's up, D?
What's going on?
I'm good, man.
Which way are you leaning?
Brady, of course. Listen, I think it's been pure domination over the last, especially in the regular season, where Brady's 11-5 against Peyton.
In the postseason, 2-2.
And 2-2 in the postseason. But 4 rings trumps everything. Listen, if we were out on the playground and it was you and I, Skip, and Stephen A, and Brady and Manning walked out and we were picking teams, which team would you want to play for? You want to play for Brady. Simply because he's been dominant in head-to-head battles. He's been sharp in playoff and Super Bowl victories. He's a guy that you want to play for, and I don't think it's a question. I really don't. I don't think it's a question where you want to lean in this game right now. Right now, New England is hot. They're the best team in the AFC right now, hands down, and I think they're going to prove that this week in Denver.
Stephen A.
Tom Brady is younger than Peyton Manning, I believe, not just in age, but just, in vibrancy, to be quite honest with you. I just think that he appears to be a younger 38 or so, whereas Peyton appears to be an older 39. Obviously, even though he's been pounded a little bit this year, he doesn't have the health issues historically that Peyton Manning has had. So when you're thinking about Tom Brady going up against Peyton Manning, when you talk about Tom Brady, you're just talking about Tom Brady and his gifts, his skills, what he brings to the table. When you're talking about Peyton Manning, you're talking about, okay, how healthy is he going to feel? How much velocity is he going to have in his throws? You're talking about stuff like that. Then you turn around, you're also talking about what's the weather going to be like? What's the wind chill factor? How it may affect his throws? There's so many question marks about Peyton Manning in a particular game based on his age, attrition, and health. Whereas with Tom Brady, you're asking football questions, all right? You want to know if he's healthy because he got banged up a little bit, particularly against Ndamukong Suh the last game of the regular season. But you're also asking about his offensive line. And then you're thinking about Julian Edelman and Danny Amendola. Are they going to be ready? You don't really have too many questions about Tom Brady. You have the questions about Peyton Manning. So obviously, it's easily plausible to lean towards Tom Brady because everything just seems to be on the side right now. Could they lose? Sure. But if they lose, it's going to be because of how elite Denver's defense is and how they perform against Tom Brady. Whereas with Peyton Manning, even though I thought he performed well this past weekend, you still find yourself wondering and asking how ready is he going to be for this game and what is he going to be able to do with all of those ancillary things taken into consideration.
You know what's funny about this question?
What?
I am by far the biggest Brady fan on this panel.
Yeah,
Is that fair to say?
Yeah,
like times 10 maybe?
Yeah.
And yet I'm the only one who's bringing some objectivity to this because I don't get where you're going with this one, and I'll tell you why. You say the Patriots are hot. Well, they crumbled at the end of the regular season because their offensive line crumbled, and then don't get me started on Belichick wins the coin flip at the Jets and decides to take the ball out of Tom Brady's hands and put it in the Jets' hands, and you know the rest of that story. And that loss is why they are going to Denver, right, which has been house of horrors for Tom Brady through his career. I don't know why, but he's got demons in Denver. 2-6 there. What is it?
Yeah, I think it's 2 and 6.
Yeah, 2-6, but lost both playoff games there ingloriously, I might add. And the one, as Stephen A will tell you, I sat right here the day after the one 2 years ago. Tom Brady just flat out stunk it up there 2 years ago in the championship game. And I couldn't recognize, I didn't know who that guy was. That was the worst game I have ever seen him play. So now Tom Brady is the 3-point favorite, to your point. at Denver with no running attack whatsoever. They just, last week against Kansas City, they just abandoned. They just said, we don't need to do that. And 77% of the time, they said, let's let the quarterback throw it, because that's our run game anyway.
Yeah.
Edelman, little scooting routes, right, underneath routes. Flip it to Amendola, flip it to somebody coming out of the backfield. That's how we control the football, and it works. But now on defense, they got injury issues with their two best defensive players, Jamie Collins, Chandler Jones. I have no idea because they don't tell us. And it sounds like Gerard Mayo could just flat out be out for this game. And Denver's pass rush it had the most sacks in the league. I don't know if you're going to say it's the best, but I think it is the best. So he's going in there with one hand tied behind his back because the offensive line is still pretty much a shambles. The Nate Solder, their best lineman's on IR. So they're still mix and match across the front. How can you do this? How do you do it against that defense in that stadium and that mile-high atmosphere against a Peyton Manning who, for the first time in his life, not only is he a home underdog, but nobody expects anything from Peyton Manning. Am I right about that? Gary Kubiak yesterday was asked in the media session, did you consider yanking Peyton in the game on Sunday? It has come to this for the almost 40-year-old Peyton Manning. Well, that's what it is. And in Denver, I could hear him booing through the TV. They were booing, man. They were.
Do you blame them?
No, they were ready for Brock Osweiler at several points. It was 13-12.
You just named all those deficiencies on the Patriots side.
Yep.
Let's look at the deficiencies on the Broncos.
Okay.
They are a one-dimensional. If you make them a one-dimensional team, and if the Patriots force them to abandon the running game.
So it's the flip of who the Patriots are.
If you have forced them to abandon the running game and put the onus on Peyton Manning, you trust Peyton Manning to carry this team for 60 minutes against a Bill Belichick's defense, throwing the football. I just don't see it. I think the only way the Broncos win this game is, first of all, their defense is going to have to play outside of themselves. They can't just get pressures. They're going to have to get hits on Tom Brady. They're going to have to cause some plays where they get some turnovers. And offensively, they're going to have to run the football. If they don't run the football, it's going to be a long day. I just think the onus, if you look at the way the Patriots are built, of course you have Tom Brady, but you have a defense that's in the top 5 in the NFL right now as far as putting pressure on quarterbacks, sacks. They make big plays. And then you have an offense that's finally gotten healthy. Gronk is back. There's no one that's going to check Gronk this game. I don't care if it's Aqib Talib, if it's Chris Harris. No one's going to check Gronk this game. And Edelman, we saw last week, he was a little rusty, but he got open. He had a big game. I just think right now with the weapons that the Patriots have, they're the better football team.
And the major X factor he just mentioned, Bill Belichick.
That's right.
Okay, but Alex Smith terrorized Bill Belichick's defense last Saturday at Foxborough. I was close, and I'm rooting for I'm rooting for Brady. I was closing my eyes. They could not contain Alex Smith. Now he can run.
He can run. Yeah, that's a different.
And by the way, he had the most scramble yards of any quarterback in the league this year. So you forget about that.
Yeah.
But he was making throws and runs. And then listen, when push came to shove in that game against Pittsburgh on Sunday, Peyton Manning on 3rd and 12 from his 23, I thought he threw a fastball.
A Fowler,
Big Fowler?
Yeah.
That was the best throw of anybody the whole game. Better than anything Ben did to me.
Right.
But again, can he do it consistently? I don't know. But he's still.
I'm not a believer.
Okay.
I'm just not. I look at the Broncos and I feel like they have so many dogs on that defensive side of the ball. Chris Harris, Aqib Talib, you name it. DeMarcus Ware, they have so many good football players on that defensive side of the ball, but their offense continuously lets them down. You have to run the ball in this month of January. And I still think that right now, the Patriots are going to stop the run.
It's interesting because I'm looking at Peyton Manning's stats the last time he played New England in the playoffs, which was 2013 seasons, 2 years ago, January 19th, 2014. Peyton Manning went 32 of 43 for 400 yards and 2 touchdowns. Completed 74% of his passes. They won by 10 points.
What did Brady do? Do you have Brady's numbers?
Yeah. I got Brady's numbers right here, Skip. He had 24 of 38, completed 63% of his passes, 277 yards, 1 touchdown. Peyton Manning threw for 400 yards, completed 74% of his passes. They still only won by 10 points. To me, I understand that game, Denver was pretty much in control of that game, that Brady simply didn't seem like himself. But it wasn't like he turned the ball over or did a whole bunch of things wrong. It's just that he wasn't very Brady-like. And I say all of that to say that it leads me towards thinking about what Darren just said. I'm just looking at it from the standpoint that with this defense playing the way that it plays, unless you're able to force Tom Brady into actual turnovers that can produce points for you, to me, Denver's offense is going to have to come to the rescue. And considering the question marks about Peyton Manning, combined with receivers, even according to Gary Kubiak, who didn't show up and were dropping too many passes, it's one of those situations where I think you're going to have to run the football to win this game against New England. And I don't know if that's something that Denver can do continuously to come to the rescue. I just don't know if they can do that, Skip. That's why I'm rolling with New England for this
All
week.
right. So, Darren, I know it's early. It's only Tuesday. But you're talking like you could see New England winning by 14 points.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
No?
I wouldn't go that far. I'll give you this. The deciding factor to me, the X factor, is when is Demaryius Thomas going to really show up in the big games? When is he really going to show? If Demaryius Thomas can show up, I'm talking maybe make some screen catches, break some tackles,
no drops.
without any
No
drops, and make some big plays. Because if he doesn't show up this week, especially in a short game, it's over with. I just think if I'm looking at these two teams, I think it'll be a close game. I just have to side with Belichick and Brady in a close game. They're still the defending champions. Until someone beats them and dethrones them, they're still the defending champions, and I'm going with New England.
Good. It's over. They don't even need to play. New England won.
No, and they're going to get the drops in check after that.
Rubber stamp them right into the Super Bowl.
Until you prove otherwise.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Demaryius Thomas' career in the playoffs. His very first playoff game in 2012 against Pittsburgh, he had obviously 4 receptions for 204 yards. All right? A couple of years ago against New England, that same game we were talking about, had 7 receptions for 134 yards. And then obviously the Super Bowl, that was a blowout, so that don't even count, even though he had 13 receptions for 118 yards. That one game against New England, all right, and the other game against Pittsburgh 2 years earlier than that. Other than that, I'm seeing, as Darren would point out, relatively pedestrian games here. Had 93 receiving yards in a 45-10 loss to New England in 2011. 37 yards, 54 yards, 59 yards. Last year in the playoffs, 40 yards. Darren has a point.
Good. Like it.
All right.
I agree with
Bill Belichick, 23 career postseason wins, an NFL record. Advantage Billy B over Kubiak there. Darren, you'll be back with us in a little bit. You're here all day. Don't you just love it? Here in warm, beautiful Bristol. We appreciate you.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's warmer than it is here.
Oh, cranky over there. We need you back. We need you back. Joining us now, actor, comedian, friend of the show, Marlon Wayans in the house. He has a new